Hello, you join us again for another one of our Spotlight interviews, which takes place just prior to the networking for Movers and Shakers. Movers and Shakers is corporate networking. Actually, it's prestige corporate networking because we use prestige locations around the Thai capital. Today we're at the Renaissance Hotel, where actually we had the very first Movers and Shakers here in Bangkok. And my guest today is an American lawyer. His name is Michael Doyle. Michael.
Thank you for having me.
How are you, Michael?
I'm good. These days in Bangkok, I'm trying to keep dry most of the time. You know, you always keep an umbrella handy, but things are good. The market's good. Keep me very busy.
And family, well? Well,
I had my first child 2 years ago, Jessica Lee Doyle, who's home with my wife right now, so that's a change, but everything's good. Everything's
Michael, you were born in America, but then you at the very young age of 21, you kind of, what's it called, wanderlust? You decided that that's it, you want to get out there and see the world, but you ended up in Kazakhstan, is that correct?
Yes, when I was a senior in undergrad in Arkansas, I studied Russian language back then, and there was an exchange program in Almaty, Kazakhstan. Okay. And I'd never gotten a chance to travel before, and it was a big step out of Arkansas, but I did it, and it was a great experience.
Okay, but then that gave you the bug to keep moving on, and then I think in 1996 you decided to make Thailand your home.
Yes.
Why Thailand?
Well, my brother was in the jewelry industry for many years. He was the buyer for the Home Shopping Network in the U.S., and Southeast Asia was a pretty key market for him. So I heard all these great stories about Thailand growing up, but I'd never been. Right. Initially, I looked for a job in Eastern Europe to use my Russian language, but my brother said, if I were you, I would take a year and go to Bangkok and figure it out. And I got a job offer, and I was gone in 3 days. But I came out here initially just to stay for a year, but I've been here for 16 years now. Right.
Now, the company that you're with now, you're now a partner in the company, correct?
I am. Our law firm is Seri Manop Doyle. I've been there for 13 years.
Okay. Now, they're running a recurring thread in these interviews that we've been doing is the assimilation and, you know, like a how to survive in Thailand. And you're very aware of that, not just because of the time you spent here, because you've actually published books on pretty much that subject, but focused on law.
Yes, yeah, I agree. I mean, because in my job, I deal with a lot of foreign investors. And so I see a lot of people come in and have to find a way to be effective, you know, for Americans or Europeans or whomever, when they first come to Thailand, if they're not used to a developing country environment where not everybody speaks your language, you know, you have to find your way, you know, and I've gone through all of those steps myself over the years. So
okay, now your book, one of your books it's coming up for its 4th reprint. What's the title of the book?
It's a Doyle's Practical Guide to Thailand Business Law. I first published that book in 2004, and now in the first quarter next year, this will be its 4th edition. Okay.
So what advice would you give to people watching this who are thinking about setting up a company here or perhaps moving to Thailand, you know, taking that step? What advice, might be a very long list of advice, but if you could give us a kind of snapshot.
But it really depends on what kind of business you want to go into. But I see, I mean, if we're talking about small business people, sometimes I'll see Europeans or Americans come to Thailand because they love Thailand, and they just think, oh, well, this idea worked in the US or it worked in the UK, so it automatically must work in Thailand as well. But Thailand's a really competitive place, and capitalism has been alive and well here for many, many, many years. You know, so things, of course, there's legal things to think about, but, you know, think through your business plan first, just like you would anywhere.
Sure. But the tricky thing is that the things that would work in Europe or America might not necessarily work here, not just because of the differences in law, but the difference in the culture.
Oh, sure, sure.
And that's the hard part. But that's something you've obviously grasped, because you're one of the few men in business, and especially as a lawyer, who can read and write Thai. I mean, obviously you speak it as well.
Yeah.
I mean, that must be a huge boon for you, just to be able to, and that would remove so many barriers, I think, right?
Yeah. When I looked at the market when I first came to Thailand in 1996, I wanted to find a niche to fill, and one of the things that I saw was there were many foreign lawyers who could speak Thai on some level, but I would say not at a high level. So that was my goal, and also I knew if I could learn to read and write to a pretty high level, then that would separate me. I mean, I'm not the only one, of course, but I put a lot of effort.
I bet you did.
Yeah, I put a lot of effort in. It was the same thing with my book. Okay. When I first came to the market, there weren't any books in. There were a few books on Thai law, but none with examples. And none that. They all seemed like legal textbooks to me, and no business person wants to read that. I wanted something that said, the chapters were frequently asked questions, answers, example. Question, answer, example. Make it really easy for business people to use.
Okay. So what about the future? Is there more books in your head waiting to come out, or is it the revisions because of the changes in the law? And is Thailand, you're married to a Thai, I assume, right? Right. So is Thailand's home for you?
Thailand's home. When I first came to Thailand, I didn't know Thailand from Malaysia or Indonesia or China or anywhere else. But now that I have traveled in the region a lot, now I realize how lucky I am to be here. Lucky I am to be here, and I'm very fortunate that my business is successful, and I have a lot of great clients that I'm also, a lot of them I'm friendly with as well. So, okay. So Thailand's home for the foreseeable future. Okay.
Final question, Mike. Are you a mover or are you a shaker?
It seems like I haven't been still in 16 years, so I think I'm definitely a mover.
You're definitely a mover. Mike, thanks very much for joining us.
My pleasure, my pleasure.
And we'll see you again for another Spotlight interview here at the Movers and Shakers Corporate Networking every month in the Thai capital. Bye-bye.